My presentation, every time I talk, I try to do something different. I start over again. So I thought this one, this time we would talk maybe from the patient's viewpoint. Now, if you're going to start practicing biologic dentistry, sometimes people are totally freaked out and maybe don't know exactly what to expect. And of course, we have all kinds of frequent patients that are coming in. And I love every one of them, you know, because they are the most educated patients that I ever had, and my practice totally changed. So here's my information. They call me Waz in the academy, and I really love to know everyone's nickname, but nobody ever wants to tell. So this is the very, I think, most important thing that you can do is you should be considering doing SMART as soon as you can. And just like in the academy, what we decided behind the scenes, that we would totally do social media and do all kinds of things to promote SMART around the world. And by you becoming SMART certified, you get your name listed. And then in the world of Facebook, so it's hard, the learning never ends. So at first when I started, I thought the academy had it wrong about fluoride, so I used actually fluoride for a year. And I know during that time, there was patients who came to me and then left me because they knew fluoride was poison, but I was saying it was all right. And I hear it all the time, the same thing about root canals. I have holistic or biologic dentists up in the mountains that they come, they say, she wanted me to get a root canal. And that was it, I knew she wasn't biologic. You're gonna have to make those tough decisions, all right? I mean, how are you going to prepare yourself? You're going to watch lectures. You can get all the past lectures if you're a lecture watcher, or you can read books. And this is a must read if you're not familiar with all of your patients. 98% of your patients that are coming will be asking you if you know Western Price Story. So I suggest that you get familiar with what is going on with that. And it mostly is about nutrition, and it's not something that we as dentists are trained to do, but you need to kind of be at least familiar with that and be able to discuss with that. And if you decide you want to discuss more about nutrition with your patients as far as overall health, dentists are always known, no sweets, you know, brush your teeth, but it's now you want to start talking about fats that you're eating and all of these kinds of things. It's up to you. It's fun. If you want to develop your own, you know, this is what you should do. But I'm kind of like, it's hard to say. Just like we learned yesterday, it's a little bit different for everyone. So I send those kind of tough cases on diet to my, good morning, to my naturopathic doctor, because I do have to get down and do dentistry sometimes. So this is the other book you need to read. If you haven't read it or you don't know the fluid transport, the true story of how decay happens, this is the true story that's been squashed. And when you learn the mechanism of decay, as it was proved by 20 years of research, everything you see all of a sudden starts to make more sense. All right, it's not because you're not brushing good back right there. It's much more. It's diet related. Another book that I think, if you can get a hold of this book, will make you more comfortable where you are. This is a thesis that was written, and it's about focal infection, and it's about the history and how it was all squashed and why we are not told about cavitations. And you know, why it's like this voodoo land where people don't really talk about it, and certainly the dentists, because they don't know anything about it, they're afraid of it. But this tells kind of the story and makes you much more comfortable with realizing, like, we're not just making this stuff up.
But it's making a comeback now, that theory.
You know, read whatever. These are a few books I threw together and took a picture of. And then I saw right there, now I hope nobody sends me any swear words up here.
If you're more interested in Western Price, they have there's regional groups that get together and talk about
Yeah,
it.
you can join a Western Price group or things like that, if you're into it, do it, you know. I see, I got Blaylock, I think is a good book for the main supplement man, glutathione book, whatever.
Do you have a list of those books?
Of those books?
Yeah. That might be a good handout to give to.
This is just stuff that
I know you're just too humble.
you should see this, that's just a little, you have no idea how many books are laying around. I'm sure my wife loves it. She dusts them off every once in a while. So then, you know, you're wondering about attracting, what am I going to do now? I have a different kind of practice. How am I going to attract? Well, how do you attract? Your main attraction is going to be SMART certification. That's all you have to do. You don't have to spend any money on like telling people because it's out there already. But of course, I don't need to tell you guys. So, and then when they come, you need to screen them as well. So, internet and website. And then when you have your website, you make sure you optimize so that you come up first on Google's first page. And that is, there's a cost of doing that, but the people will come. You have to do nothing else. Yeah, if it's properly optimized, you have to do nothing else. And for me, I throw this plug. This group is here. They do design Biologic websites. The gal who owns the company, her husband's a dentist. She's been doing this for 15 years. And so if you need help with your website or optimization, right now it's in a big delay. There's some health issues with Dory, but these people are very reliable if you need help with a Biologic website. Of course, we use Facebook. I've already said that, and Tweet and Randall. I have Randall's computer here, I'm surprised. It's usually attached to us. But he's our paid social media guy. So that's how this is getting around the world. We do many things. Of course, SMART certification, the most important. And this is what I do. This was my design was to a 7. You can have as many pages as you want. When someone calls my office and wants to become a new patient, first you have to go to my website and fill out the 7 or 8 pages of information, and then we will call you if we can help you. And it's very much designed with, to get all of the information that you would want, and if they're full of medications, all those medications that you come around and say, I don't know what that does, you can be all ready. And then so when they come for their interview, if you decide, I mean, sometimes it's rare. I don't know. I think maybe there's been one so far that I saw the paperwork and I said, I can't. I really can't work with this person, But it's interesting. Now you have everything, and you eliminate the no-shows because when they fill out 8 pages of paperwork, they show up. I mean, that was totally took care of the new patient notion. And it just makes you much more comfortable when you sit down with the patient, you have this whole view of them. So, and you can design that, and that happens to be by the same people. This is their, if you want them to set you up with the forms and that.
So going back to that, Dory has a Talk International, and that's an adjunctive website too that you could put your name on. And I think it's $400 or $500 a year for that. But that gets out to a lot of people also, because that has a lot of educational information on it. And so Lisa and Daryl have taken over because Dory's a little sick, but they've taken over this part of it. So they'll come, and if you have an existing site, they'll look at it and figure out what needs to be optimized, or if you want a new site, they'll do it. They're really good about picking it apart and seeing what the links are and what the SEO should be, how it should be optimized.
Yeah, the optimization is the best money I ever spent for my office. It's $500 or $600, and it's a one-time thing. It's not like you're paying to keep your thing optimized. I think after 3 years or something, she had to go in because I was down like third or fourth, and then within an hour, I'm number one on the page again or something. It's crazy. I don't know how she does it, but if I did, I guess I could do it. So.
And there's a lot of other companies out there that say they'll do social media for you and that they'll take care of it, but most of them are bunk. But and it's really expensive. They're like $500 to $1,000 a month, and I just think that's unreasonable.
You don't need to do it. You get Dory to do your site. It's amazing. It's amazing. The first time that when she did my site, literally the very first day, the phone started ringing. I was like, wow. So I had no idea. I had my website and everything, and I'm still like thinking, should I put an ad in the paper? What are you going to do? No more.
How'd that ad work out?
It's like so useless to have ads anywhere or anything, The people you're going to get are most, 99%, they're computer literate, and they are that's where, if it's not on, now, if it's not on the computer, it's not true. So they will find you that way. And of course, the obvious thing that you're going to need to talk to them about is Mercury.
When I bought my practice, that's what the drawers look like.
I mean, it's scary, and the mercury problem, we all have it, even now that we've been biologic for years and years. Every time you drill one, there's no way around it. We're still trying to figure out what to do. You really need a dirty room. You need a closed-off, separate system dirty room to deal with the mercury talk. Otherwise, your office has a level. Every office has a level. When you're in your office, you're breathing mercury. And it doesn't matter if you're drilling it, if anybody's got their mouth open, it's all over everything. So you can get the meter and measure it. So you need to be ready to talk to them about mercury, because they're going to want to talk. And you have your forms, so you already know. Are they going to be coming to you for mercury removal, or are they a conventional patient and they just coming to you because you take their insurance? So I don't know, the insurance issue. I remove myself from that. But if you're an insurance person, that's another thing. So you have patients who come to you because they're insurance. Well, the only way you can get yourself in trouble is by saying to them, oh, you have arthritis, well, you have to take your mercury out and it will go away, So you'll know they're coming to you because they want your viewpoint. Is the mercury causing it? So you have to develop that kind of rhetoric and be ready to discuss with these people because they want to talk about it. I put this here because these are the couple of things, of course, about Clifford testing. And certainly anyone who has any kind of hypersensitivity, chemical sensitivity, before you begin, you give them a Clifford test. That's the presence of antibodies in your blood against the materials that you are choosing to use. So Clifford, and then the ELISA testing is the only true test for metal hypersensitivity. So it's metal response. If you're looking at metal implants or certainly the junk metal crowns that we all put in for years, people develop allergy to it. It's 24/7 reaction. The thing I most recently started asking my patients is, are you allergic to jewelry? Can you wear Walmart jewelry? And most of them cannot. Like, well, you got a whole mouthful of it. You know, but it doesn't react right here. It reacts through the whole tube in your brain, thyroid problems. You have to consider metal. All metal has potential. And I'm trying to put together this maybe more in-depth lecture about metal, and I'm reading that palladium is the new nickel. And palladium is like, that's the main thing in your gold crowns is palladium. Well, now they are saying people are reacting to palladium like they do to nickel. So when you're trying to figure out what's wrong with your patient, you need to prove to them. If you want to test, you have to use Melisa.
Do you have any comments about zirconia yet?
Zirconia, we have the Melisa people who have tested for, they do a lot of testing for implant stuff. They said they have not seen any systemic issue as a result of zirconia. So they're testing for the cellular response, and they're not finding any cellular response to the presence of zirconia.
But that's the Melissa, right? But you haven't heard in general from Clifford or Biocomp or anyone like that?
Well, Clifford is testing for the presence of antibodies. So if you have a zirconia implant, Jess hates implant. Jess hates zirconia. He thinks it's a metal.
It's a transitional metal.
Pardon?
Is it considered a transitional metal?
It's once it's crystallized, it has no metallic properties. It has none. It's not. So if you know, technically, it's a metal. It never goes away. That's how Jess says, right? But when you crystallize it and you change the properties, the elemental table, the table is based upon properties. It doesn't belong in the metal category or the transitional metal category because it doesn't have any of those properties anymore, and it doesn't. It's no longer reacts as a metal.
So who was saying they don't like it?
Oh, the owner of Clifford. He doesn't like it. Just personal, you know. He's one of our past instructors.
Then what do you do? If you can't do zirconia,
It's the
and you
most-
can't do acrylics,
Exactly.
and you can't, then what do you do? Walk around
No.
with your teeth?
It's the most. I always tell my patients, at this point, it's the most biocompatible stuff we have. And we don't have, nothing's perfect. Nothing's better than your natural, vital, live tissue. We can't replicate it. We have nothing that's stronger than it. You know, you can, that works as well as that. Everything's a compromise.
So before I came here, like within a week, I already have, through social media, put on that I'm smart certified and I'm going to this lecture. I had a lady contact me online. She's moving to our area. She's like, I'm losing teeth, and I know I'm going to have dentures, but she has obviously, she's sensitive to acrylics and plastics, and she wanted to know if there were options other than, I didn't know if there are other options if they have to go into a denture, if there's certain types of acrylic materials or non-acrylic denture materials. Is there?
Yeah, the most biocompatible denture material is Flexite. Flexite has no monomer, and I use Zigo Labs for that kind of removable material and my night guards and all kinds of appliances. It's always Flexite for me.
What about PMMA?
Pardon?
What about PMMA?
I don't believe you have any problem with Flexite, do you?
Oh, what about polymethyl?
No. The Flexite material is like nylon, it's
It's like
Yeah.
Valplast TCS.
Okay, it's like, are they the same or just
Yeah.
different brands?
Yes.
So Valplast
Well,
and Flexite?
they might be slightly different, but it's the same
Same
thing.
Same as
They're not
Valplast?
polymethyl acrylic.
Is
They're
it
not
No.
flexible?
Yeah, they're all flexible.
Yeah, but how about complete dentures?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can do
You
complete
can make
dentures with
them.
that, but you can't reline them, you can't patch them.
No, I know.
This is the problem.
They're not good for immediate, they would be good for after the healing, better for after.
Why
healing.
not for immediate? Oh,
Because
because
you
you want
can't
to reline.
reline.
No, I make an immediate, I throw it away and make another one.
Can you do soft liners on them?
No,
No.
or I send it back to the lab, your lab can, the lab can
Can
reline
reline
it
the
for you.
Flexite?
Flexite, but they have to be without the denture, where depending
Yeah,
where you
that's
live, I overnight
yeah.
it till me overnights it back. So I don't compromise to use, monomer releasing material to, for that purpose. I just change it out or reline it. They usually, what you can do is you can order two. The duplicate denture costs you $60, $80 or something. And then, and the dupe it looks a little, it's not really teeth, it looks a little odd. But then you can take it away for a few days and get it relined for them. So it solves the problem. But that's the material, and that's the only material I know, and the only Flexite as being the company. There are some companies that use Flexite type material, but then, and they advertise you can repair them because they actually put some methyl methacrylate stuff bonded to it. So I stick with it.
So what about denture adhesives?
Denture adhesives?
Yeah.
I
If they
don't,
have to use something, well, it's, I mean, you can't reline it. What's the point of relining something while they're transitioning, if they're an immediate?
yeah.
What's the point, as it's getting looser and you're not gonna reline it every month?
In my practice as a biologic dentist, I see very little perio.
Okay.
Because the patients are, I think, more educated, eating better, and they read Western Price and they're eating right.
Okay.
So I don't see as much. I bet you I would be surprised if I do 5 immediate. The only immediate situations that I'm faced with is massive root canal extraction and then partials. Like I don't have very many
tooth
dentures
failure.
in my practice.
Yeah.
This is my experience. So it's funny how I used to, as a conventional dentist, this would be a common issue for me because I would be doing much more dentures. The patients now, their teeth aren't falling out anymore. I'm not faced with this immediate denture thing very often.
Right. Most I've seen more recently is not so much perio, it's the bite problem, and they've broken and worn and destroyed their teeth, and they don't have the funds to full-on reconstruction. So if they're at the point that we can't repair these teeth because they've broken and worn down to nothing, their other option is removal.
Well, it can get so bad if they grind them to the gum line, but I've seen it, and someone asked me this weekend about building up the teeth with composite, and in those total bruxism cases, I've done them, and they're still there 20 years later. And
Yeah, if
it's
you line up the bite properly, you can get
Exactly.
it. Right, but I mean,
Exactly.
I'm talking about people that have the old, PFMs are already heavily compromised teeth, probably, like you said, root canal, or not a lot of tooth structure left, and so they're not just grinding them, but they're snapping teeth off at the gum line.
Yeah. I've seen those cases to you, okay?
Yeah.
I learned early on, when they're snapping their teeth off and it's ground down like that, I've done the roundhouse thing, I've done the denture that breaks, and I tell those people right up front, like, whatever I do for you, you're gonna break it. It just make sure you pay on the way out the door, because I'm not guaranteeing it. And that's what LVI is beautiful for.
Yeah, that's what but I'm saying there's some people that can't afford that type of treatment, so it's like, that's why I'm trying to, that's why I was asking about the dental
Yeah.
material, because there are people that we have to go that route. And it's not necessarily for periodontal reasons, it's to rebuild their bite, so we get, at least if we can give them an upper denture, and if they have the money to maintain the lowers, and we can rebuild their bite and at least align their bite with lower restorations and an upper denture, at least we can get some.
So, reason for rebuilding their bite, do you do it just because they're worn down, or are they having symptoms?
Well, either or. Some people are minimally symptomatic, and other people are severely symptomatic. And so, and the ones that are minimally symptomatic or no symptomatic, they're the ones that beat up the teeth, but the muscles seem to be okay. The jaw joints often are not okay, but they're not feeling pain.
So why would you tell them to pull their teeth if they're functioning?
Well, if the teeth are breaking off and we have to rebuild their bite, even if they're not pain patients and we have to rebuild them, if there's not a lot, if they can't afford implants and full mouth reconstruction, and we don't have a lot of good solid teeth to maintain, then the option is, especially on the top, I have to at least balance the occlusal plane on the top as well as on the bottom. So if they can at least maintain the lower, they have the funds to rebuild the bite, at least in the lowers, and keep the lowers healthy, and we don't have a lot of good teeth. Because there are people that come in and they've got 4-unit bridges, and they're all breaking the bridges, and there's no teeth left unless you put, implants in.
My option I am faced with, generally it comes with root canals. In my practice, all root canals are extracted, and that kind of, it leads you down a different path, you know? And so,
well, I mean, if they're coming out, they're either got to get an implant or they've got to get a prosthesis, a removable.
Right, a removable. But for me, in my practice, the way I look at, I'm not big on changing in a systemic asymptomatic person's bite unless it's they come to me and want cosmetics.
Well, I see more pain patients, like if I'm a
yes,
GP.
because you're drawing the pain patients down. You're looking for an LVI trained person to take care of these complicated cases.
So
Thank you for doing that.
Back to your original question, most of the denture adhesives have like copper, zinc, or metal.
Yeah, I knew
Yeah.
that. I thought they were trying to take a lot of that out,
Some of
like
them are,
they changed the formulation.
Yeah, but still. So go back to Melisa and tell us how we can get a hold of Melisa, or how we do that.
You're going to have to search it, but the problem with Melisa, the blood has to arrive within 48 hours. And I think they have 2 places, one in Germany and one in like the Netherlands or something. But like from my office, I draw the blood, I did all of the homework, I draw the blood, the patient's going to run it over to FedEx, I think it was, and it's got to go, and it can't go on the weekend, and it's got to go, and they figured it all out, and they could guarantee me it would be there in 47 hours. It's because it's in Europe. They don't have, the lab they had in the US was not doing it properly, so they had to get rid of them. So if you really need to do and show somebody that or for your own interest, that they're reacting to their implant or their crowns, then that's the really true test. There are the other immunoglobulin tests that are not, when you read the Melisa stuff online, it will explain to you, but they're not, they're like, they test for, let's say they're testing for titanium sensitivity, and this test shows maybe 50%, and Melisa shows like 89%. So once you know that, you can't rely on these lesser tests. And really, the only true test right now for T-cell reactive testing.
So it's a broad spectrum test. Is it broad spectrum?
You have to choose. When you go to Melisa, you're going to have to choose what panel you want. And so you're gonna look at your patient's mouth, you're gonna see what metals they have, and most of the time you can't find out from the, for me, I suggest all metals should come out anyway, but if the patient wants to know, sometimes you have a patient who has, 14 different metals in their mouth, and, they're getting reception
know
from
what's in those
Russia,
crowns. Yeah.
because they have like this kind of galvanic thing that is a nightmare, which is, I've seen, when you get instant relief on a patient, it's by taking out the galvanic action of all the metals in their mouth. It's a nightmare. You can't do this. This is a sin, the galvanic things that dentists are doing.
Radio stations.
It's horrible. So, yeah, I mean, you're not going to be able to find out usually because dentists don't write down what metals they put in their mouth. But you can look at it, you know it's different, that one's different, that one, they need to go. At least one of them. If you really want to keep, well, dentists did all of those. They put all junk metal, but it's all the same right there. Well, at least you don't have galvanic reaction from one to the other. The galvanism is dissimilar metals. But you still have release of the ions into the patient, and lots of them, into their system 24/7. And when you have two different metals, it releases much, much more. So this is my next
So
topic.
then they can go online and they can get a lab slip and everything and figure it all out. For Eliza.
The Melissa, you can go online. You contact Melissa, they're wonderful people. They'll take time to explain any questions you have. And they will send you a kit. And then you just check off which, if you know the metals you want to be tested for, you check it off. Or if you know the type of implants they have, you can just check it off. Every implant, they're not pure titanium. They're a nightmare. They all have nickel. 100% of all metal implants have nickel.
Do they have aluminum in them too?
I have various amounts depending, like early Brandmark have a lot of aluminum, and then you have miscellaneous metals. They've done different things, and when you look, you can't even, most dentists think they're putting in, no, this is pure titanium. Well, there's no such thing. Because in order to make a titanium implant, you have to use a nickel catalyst. They all have nickel. And it might be very low, but guess what? How much nickel do you need? Put just a very low nickel in your ear and see how it looks. And so when it's in your bone, it's a nightmare. And so you've got to become aware that metals are your enemy. And sure, some people seem to tolerate. The people that say, no, I don't react to any, I can wear any jewelry I want, beautiful. Now I'm not going to, be pressuring down patients. I will make them aware that I don't like metal ions, but I'm not going to be suggesting to them. Maybe that rash that you have chronically on your face right there is actually from your teeth.
Well, right now I'm developing, there's no way around it, but I'm developing my upper jaw with a 4x extraction case. And I've got an appliance in, it has to be metal, but it's for the greater end, right? I'm developing the jaws, opening the airway.
Well, as long as you have only one metal, at least you're not getting this galvanic release of ions.
Yeah.
You're still getting it. And can you wear
I'm
Walmart
okay
jewelry?
that way, but this is a stainless steel.
That's got nickel.
But it's only going to be on, I'm only going to have I've only had 6 months and it's coming off pretty soon.
We live a compromise.
Yeah.
When
you probably have in your glasses.
I'm totally organic, but I like to go out to eat.
Yeah.
So, it's a compromise. You just need to slow down the bombs, you need to so you can live through it.
When you remove amalgam filling, you always get some residue or staining left. Does it mean they've got mercury still sort of penetrating the tubuli and so on, which you don't remove? So what happens to those areas, even staining on the tissue? or
Well, the tissue staining, the amalgam tattoo is not from a sloppy placement of amalgam. It's from the galvanic action of the mercury coming out of your teeth and being deposited in the tissue. And when you start to look at that, and you start to look at your amalgam tattoos, you're gonna all of a sudden notice, like the gold crown with the mercury underneath, it's got a big amalgam tattoo right there. Oh, wow, every dentist that does that must be sloppy. No, it's the deposit of the metal in the tissue. And my friend in Slovenia, he is very insistent that all amalgam tattoos should be removed. So we believe also, especially in a person certainly that is sick and sensitive, obviously to mercury, they need to be removed. And so the staining underneath the filling also, as a result of galvanic action, you'll notice that under a gold crown with the mercury filling, that tooth is black, sometimes it's totally decalcified, it's disgusting. It's because of the metal is moving into the tooth. That staining is from metal. So yes, if you want to go chasing that, why don't you just pull the tooth? So we clean it up as best we can. I do have one of our friends, he uses EDTA, which you can use to treat your dentin anyway, and he rubs that on the tooth and he feels better about it. Myself, I remove it until I'm uncomfortable, you know, I take a long time. I use 8 power loops, and I don't have exposures. I should have never said that. But I don't fool around. I leave it black. I mean, we're detoxing. My recommendation to my patient is going to be detox. All right? Mercury removal and metal removal is only a small part of it. You've got to detox. So you're going to have to decide, because if you're ever, and I don't fear it, the board, but if the board ever called you out because somebody complained, you told them to detox and they got sick or something, and you're unsure about it, then maybe you're going to decide you're going to make friends with a doctor, an integrative doctor that does detox. All right, and I do that for my patients who are very sick. They go see Dr. Chris.
Leave it to the professionals.
Pardon?
Leave it to the professionals.
Well, it's
They do it all the
simple.
time.
It is, but if you have a person who has basic symptoms of the usual patient that comes to me, and most of my patients drive at least a couple hours to come to me, they are sleepless at night, they're suffering anxiety, you know, I can't stay awake, I'm falling asleep. You know that they're mercury toxic, they got 10 fillings, and they want them out. And so that's simple. You can just take them out using SMART, and you can put them on liposomal glutathione-based detox, and you just create, it's a miracle. Now, I don't tell them I would never tell them that, you know, I'm going to cure all of that, but I would tell them my story. Most of us in the academy have a story about being toxic. That's how we got here. And my story is something that I came up with, and then I tell Chris Shade that he copied me, and because he uses the same detox. It started with Redizor glutathione, but now we have Quicksilver glutathione. But it's glutathione-based detox and high-dose vitamin C to upregulate your natural glutathione. So you'll have to decide, but and sometimes when you go through your forms, you're like, okay, I'm not going to even talk to this person about detox. You know, they're taking umpteen medications. They're not coming to you for mercury removal, or they might say, my wife made me come to do this. I'll mention it to them. I always say, during the time of detox, now I know that he's telling me that they have a blue box, but I would have them at least do the detox during the removal. You know, at least cover yourself by upregulating your glutathione, because I'm really good, but I'm not perfect. Not as perfect as I used to think I was. When I first got out of dental school, I was perfect.
Perfectly bad, right?
So, you know, what we do, one of the things when you're SMART certified is we create a SMART charge, and it's all over the board right now. You can charge, some people charge per tube, some people charge per quadrant, some people charge per visit, and some people don't charge. But I suggest you charge. I went through the no charge, and so you should be charging something, and then people are going to want to do more all at once. You're going to have one long session of mercury removal because you're going to have to put the stuff on, and it takes 15 minutes, and then the hygienist pushes the button and says, I need you now. Stuff comes off. And, you know, and you're all contaminated, and it's so, you want to get it all on one day, and the charge is also to help you pay. I mean, your time is worth a lot. I can't charge enough. I'm not really a business guy. I just do it for a nominal charge to cover all the materials that I throw away and have to deal with. But
How much do you charge extra?
me,
Yeah.
I give it away. $85 per visit. That's nothing. Maddie, I think charges like $300. Then
On
I
some of
have,
the groups,
somebody else charges $200. Pardon?
I was seeing on some of the Facebook groups, it's $250 a quad.
Yes, some people charge. I mean, I'm very nominal.
Yeah.
I don't take any insurance, so I try to keep. And before I did this, I was a cosmetic. I didn't do LVI. I was cosmetic people. So my costs for my restorations were already high, and so I try to. You got to find where you're comfortable.
But even if you guys are taking insurance and billing insurance for the filling, you should have an extra charge for SMART.
Oh, definitely. And I guess it's kind of a way to get around insurance because there is no code. You have to pay the $250. So yeah, I think $250 is reasonable now. I'm about ready to raise my fee again because it's a giveaway. The whole thing takes you so that your time is what it takes.
The time is training. You gotta consider all the time we spent learning this stuff and, right?
Yeah, this is what I tell my patients. You don't pay me for doing this. You pay me to go to Stowe. You pay me to go to Vegas. You pay me to learn all of this stuff. I said I could do this by calling Facebook. I said, would you rather pay me?
Yeah.
It's not for the filling material, yes.
So your recommendation is $250 per visit or $250 per
I'm
month?
not recommending anything. I'm recommending you figure out what you want to do. Some people charge per tube,
Wait.
Surface.
mercury. So,
Steve's office advised it per surface and depth. That little one surface.
But you're still the same amount of time, like gearing up, so I
Yes,
think it should be a visit. Whether if you're doing one filling or three, you're using the
well,
same
think
amount
about it.
of.
If you want to promote for them to do quadrant dentistry or half mouth dentistry,
Yeah.
then you need to create a fee that promotes them to want to do, okay, I want to come and get this half done because I'm going to pay you $250.
There's no right or wrong. You figure out what you want to charge. I mean, she wants to charge a certain amount, and then you figure out what you want to charge. What's it worth? It's your time, skill, and knowledge. What's that worth? You know?
But you need to charge. This is the bottom line. You need to charge, you know? You can't give it away.
First, and use that as a baseline, so you're.
Yeah, everybody's got to figure it out differently. So-
Whatever you're
Really
comfortable
fine.
with, that's what we do.
So for an insurance practice, do we need to have like a consent form for this?
Yes.
Because you're not submitting this to
You
the
have to have
insurance?
consent for everything. Make sure.
Yeah, who,
And make
if
sure.
somebody has some.
Like a financial consent is what I mean.
There, you can get consent forms off of
Is
the,
there like a
form
format or
on
a
our
template for
website.
this?
No,
that,
you pay us money, and then we do your work.
but you know, I have a confession, I have never used a consent form in my 32 years of practice.
You should also.
The Academy highly recommends, they tell me I shouldn't tell you that.
Yeah, you should.
But look at,
I know. I know. You're a tough line. But
don't be afraid, guy, don't be afraid.
no, it's not being
The
afraid.
key is the 2-hour interview, sitting down to get to know your patient, understanding But even when you go
And
through all
building
that,
trust.
there's always a coop somewhere that's
Yeah.
going to.
Right. Are you sure they're not a government agent? I know it's a really silly question, but are you really sure?
You know, ever since I quit watching TV, I quit worrying about it.
Well, then there's also, on some of the
So-
consent forms I saw, it was like you have to change your wording and say, we're doing this for aesthetic reasons and.
Well,
You
don't
don't
even
have
put,
to-
there's,
no.
you don't even need to put a reason.
You don't
You're
need to,
doing
yeah.
it, you're removing it, and you're providing the service of removal.
The patient says to me, I want my mercury out. I say, great,
Yeah.
I provide that service. That's all. That's it, it's simple.
So for patients in the practice who are routine patients who've never been exposed to this kind of treatment, that this is even a possibility, how do we start? What
Just
do we
tell me
tell
you're
them?
woo-woo now. You just went woo-woo.
Because at this point, I don't even want to touch a single person without the gear because obviously I know better. But then how do I bring them around and tell them that this is
You
something they
don't.
must?
Don't do it. Don't go there.
You've
So
now,
just so I refuse treatment to them, their
No,
patients are
no.
record, like what do I tell them?
you've now learned something new.
Yes.
Right.
You've now learned
You're a
something
new
new.
dentist.
That's exactly right. This is when I first started, when I very first started, I had just put a mercury filling in a week ago. And then they came back a week later. I'm like, oh my God, I'm sorry. But this is a great business. I put it in last week. You gotta pay me now to take it out this week. Hey, would you like me not to tell you? I'm now, look at what I'm wearing. I put the smart before, I was the first smart certified dentist in the world. And that smart emblem hangs in my waiting room. And if they don't get it from that, you ain't gonna convince them from anything. So unless they ask you, you don't start talking to them about it. That's a bad idea. I do say, because now, remember, I'm not afraid. I do say when in my conventional patients, and they're like, oh yeah, God, I got hip pain. They're talking about, like, oh, I say, you know, and I'm talking, I leave it on my hygienist. I'm like, yeah, I was look in their mouth, and they got like 8 mercury fillings. They've got a root canal with some junk metal on that side. And I'll say, okay, everything really, you know, there's nothing that's broken, you have no pain, that's all good. Your pain's in your hip. Myself, I think it's probably the root canal and your mercury toxicity, but I never said that. And have a good day. And I leave the room. I don't get into it. I don't try to sell them anything. That's my personal viewpoint. And I certainly am not going to guarantee you that it has anything to do with you, because I can't give you that guarantee. I just know, I just came from Stowe. And guess what?
So I guess my question is, I'm ready to start by 9 a.m. I have to do a silver filling. Never had that conversation with the patient. Okay, I'm charging an additional $100 to remove the silver because I'm going to do it with a protocol now. How do I bring it up, or my manager or my staff brings this up with the patient? You telling me don't get into this, but they have to be informed that there's an additional fee today for getting that
So
silver out of the mouth.
don't just do a
Rebook.
month with no fee.
Yeah,
And
that's what
I
and transition it in.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's what I'm trying to, I'm like, I'm ready, I bought all the gear, as soon as I get it, I'm ready to go. I'm gonna probably reschedule everyone who was before that, before I get everything. But my question is like, how do I just kind of get started right now, get rolling with
Okay,
this?
yeah, so like, it's perfect. He says, like, you just don't charge them at first. It has to be treatment planned in.
Correct,
They have to hear, like, okay, I'm now smart certified. I'm going, or even if you're not, or I'm going to do it all smart. So now I'm no longer going to poison you, and you're gonna have to pay me for not doing it, and I don't do it any other way. And if you can't do it this way, I am sorry. But we're going to
so
now,
this is exactly what I wanna know, so,
yeah.
and that's okay, because I just don't, in my mind, I just wanna be like, I'm not refusing treatment to someone, you know what I mean, like,
No, you
If they
need to
don't-
refuse to drill their fillings without smart.
okay,
You need to refuse that. You need to say, look, I'm sorry, the guy down the street does it. If you want to have it done and you want to have it done cheap, I don't advise it, but now we are doing this safe thing. And I'm doing, you don't want to say you're doing it the safest. You don't want to claim things, you want to say, we're doing this thing as safe as possible. This is how we're doing it now.
Okay.
So, and be upfront, and then put it in your waiting room.
yeah,
Send out, you have all your patients' email?
Yep.
Send out a blast.
Yeah.
Say, here's what I'm doing, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to start out by charging $100 per visit. You can do as many mercury filling removals as you want, but per visit is an additional $100. You're going to be totally have oxygen. I would suggest you would show them a picture of yourself, right?
So 2 things is be careful if you're going to take out 52 fillings at once, because that's pretty much a huge load on a patient.
Right.
And then the other thing too is like think about all the stuff that you've learned since dental school. How did you transition that? How did you educate your patients about all that new knowledge that you learned before? I mean, this is just new knowledge. That's all it is. It's not a big scary thing. So how did you do that before? What did you have a unique style? And how did you get your patients educated about the new things that you learned since dental school?
What about giving, like I often phone my patients at post-ops and things like that, or greeting them before they come to practice. I was thinking, have that conversation on the phone with them. I think they might like, they often like the personal touch, like you say, listen, you're booked next week.
You call them personally?
Oh,
I use email, but I couldn't even imagine getting
Yeah.
into the call thing. That's nice of you.
I mean, if you have people that, I communicate with some patients, email or text, because that's what they like to do, but
Yeah.
the ones that maybe are newer patients, or I've got a lot of older people that aren't tech savvy, so, yeah, I'll pick up the phone.
I don't do too much of the direct, but that's good. When I put this because I thought it was funny. I put in, I wasn't thinking of making my show, and I said, mercury teeth. And I wanted a picture for the slide, you know, and this is what came up. I had all kinds of pictures of Freddie Mercury and those teeth, and I thought, oh yeah, I guess those are really mercury teeth, you know. So, mercury, the second thing, of course, they're going to want to know your take on fluoride. They read about fluoride being poison. You've been doing fluoride treatments on them for 10 years, and all of a sudden they want to know, jeepers, you know, or your new patient coming, they already know that now, much more than before, 10 years ago or whatever, people know that fluoride is probably toxic or possibly, and you need to have your stance and be ready to talk to them about fluoride and what's going on with fluoride, and make your decision of are you pro or against. And you know, most biologic dentists that I know of are Fluoride-Free office, and we recommend that you do things to avoid and take care of fluoride. I mean, it's very simple. I always say the problem with fluoride, it's a halogen, and of course this is the line of halogens, and in there is iodine that we know there's plenty of studies. Fluorine affects the iodine sites. So typically, I mean, we have how many? It's mostly women, but men too have thyroid problems, and you're drinking fluoride water because the fluorine is affecting your thyroid by displacing the iodine, and it's stronger. So it's very simple. They all these things react in the same sites, and so fluorine is the strongest reactive material in the elemental table, fluoride. And so when fluorine attacks, it takes care of the job, and it's not. The interesting thing when you search for the essential elements now, when you search for essential, when I was in school, I was a chemistry minor and physiology major. It was very straightforward. There was a list of essential minerals. Now it's almost impossible to find a table that doesn't say fluoride is, fluoride is an essential mineral. I was very surprised to find this table that lists it as no clearly identified use in humans. Although most of them will have an asterisk next to fluoride and it'll say strengthens teeth. You know, and like as if, you know, God gave you a body that now man's going to make it better. Oh no, we'll force some fluoride on it. You know, so this is kind of where I go. Bless you. I go with my explanation to my patients. I don't do it anymore. I would advise you to take it out of your water. You know, how did they do it to us? How does everybody? It's so hard for people to accept the fluoride. This is amazing to me. Can you guys read that? Is that hard to read?
Yes.
What's going on with that, Jim? Why am I having like, is it my computer?
I think it's just the actual image itself.
Aha, well this is the original television. This is maybe even, oh, you went through it. That's as good as it's gonna be, yeah. But look at what they told us they were gonna do with television. You know, it's gonna bring the it's gonna tell you what to know. The books, what is it? Books tell you how to think, but TV tells you what to think. And that's how it's ingrained in people. They told you fluoride was it. I mean, I can remember when fluoride came, and man, it came with margarine. You know? I mean, and now we're going to put it in the water. It's a joke. It's all a joke, people. And hopefully you'll get into the place it took me an extra year to get to, because fluoride is poison. It's poisonous and it's wicked bad. And when you're trying to help your patient get well and they're drinking fluoride water, it ain't gonna work. I mean, you're gonna have a hard time getting past that. So for the you know, the American Dental Association, that's mild to moderate fluorosis. That's disgusting. What was interesting, when I went to Wikipedia, which is controlled by this is what they showed for fluorosis. Those one couple little dots there, that's not even fluorosis. That's some kind of either trauma, maybe gluten we learned yesterday, or, you know, because it's a dot right at that one particular spot during that growth phase of the tooth. This is fluorosis. You know, that's they're exposed to fluoride. This could be fluorosis if they just like moved to a fluoride town and drank a bunch of water for a couple of months, and maybe even that could be happening in a month, and it started to show up and killing their ameloblasts. But it's probably something different, you know. But that's Wikipedia. It's trying to show people, fluorosis. It's nothing. It's just a dot. You can don't cover that up. This Kim and I went to Michigan, and it was the first. We're not going to be able to read it at all, but this is where the first town that was fluoridated in the United States, and it was disgusting. Why is this? Even on my computer, it's messed up. But it said, before fluoride, on the plaque, before fluoride, people were losing their teeth. And fluoride, then we fluoridate the water, and people can now live with their teeth for their life. I mean, it's like a total disgusting lie.
And that's Saginaw, isn't it?
Pardon?
I think it's Saginaw, Michigan, which is still, people are still losing their teeth there, by the way. It's really bad.
So you know.
I know about Saginaw.
Yeah.
Close to Flint, if you've heard of Flint.
There we go. Before water fluoridation, many lost many of their teeth, you know. And through water fluoridation, the cavities decreased by 65%. That's a lie. That's just an ADA statement. There's no scientific evidence for that at all.
Well, you look at how would they control that? How would they do a study on a whole community and do a control study to figure that out? It's like, did they all buy new toothbrushes that week, or you know what? It's like, there's no way to control it. There's no way to come up with that result.
Does fluoride prevent from geriatrics?
Fluoride, if there's any kind of effect on fluoride, it's by topical application. So,
In order for fluoride to incorporate into hydroxyapatite, you need available calcium. So you need that to incorporate it. So what is the definition of a dry mouth? They don't have any calcium in their saliva. So you're dumping fluoride in, it's not doing anything because there's no available calcium.
so it's not the answer. And it does have systemic effects in an elderly person, giving them the most reactive chemical that we have. I'll take the decay if it's really comes down
What
to
about the
that.
MI
you know?
case? Are you familiar with that?
So that's better. Now it's a step forward
Yeah.
because that's what, at least you're providing something to
As a
remineralize with.
calcium phosphate paste.
Yeah.
basically, yeah.
So if you can sterilize it with ozone and then do MI paste, and now you have a situation where it's clean and it's arresting the decay and you're gonna remineralize a little bit. So
That's, if you, I would advise people should consider that you ozone, because we.
Oh, yeah, it's on the list.
Yeah, good.
Do you recommend, do you know any sealants, fluoride-free sealants and fluoride-free cements, any products?
So why are you using sealants?
Yeah.
What are you doing with the sealants? When are you doing it? And what ages and what type of teeth?
So it usually has to be within the first 3 years of the tooth coming out of the oral cavity and just sealing the grooves, deep grooves.
Okay, so for the first 3 to 4 years that tooth is erupting into the mouth, the enamel crystals are maturing. So a 6-year molar at 6 years those enamel crystals won't mature until they're 10 on that tooth. So if you're going to put some resin in there, you're gonna retard that maturation process. If you put GI in there, I know it has fluoride in it. Put GI in, it won't arrest it. But so you're basically arresting the development of that tooth if you're going to put a sealant on that tooth anywhere between 6 and 10 for that tooth.
So you're saying that's totally not appropriate then?
Why would you want to do that? Why are you wanting to arrest the development of teeth?
Is there a study I could read this, like where it says that the maturation is going on and it's getting arrested?
It's just,
Because all of
Why
my
don't you wait,
education
why
is
don't you
saying
wait
this.
until there's early
All of
signs?
my education is saying that while the tooth is erupting or it's still in the oral cavity, that's the best benefit you'll get out of it, doing it in the first 3 years. But
They tell you that put a bunch of fluoride and stick some plastic on there that you can't guarantee because it debonds. And what happens when it debonds? Well, first it loosens, then you get decay underneath because it's not mature.
isn't the way
It's
it's
a
supposed to be
stupid idea.
implanted, it kind of
Sealant.
just wears off on its own, and what's sealed is sealed in
No.
the grooves, the rest of it
Chip off,
should just
No.
wear off anyway.
No, so,
The deepest grooves are
first
the
of
ones
all,
that just stay sealed.
first of all, you need to read that book were you here when I put up the book about dental fluid, how decay happens?
Yeah.
Now when you understand the mechanism, you'll realize that doing that to a tooth is crazy. First, you have to understand the mechanism. There's a hormone that goes from the hypothalamus to your parotid. There's a secondary hormone that goes from your parotid to your pulp. Your pulp actually increases in pressure. All right, the vessels are actually anatomically made so that they actually can increase in pressure and your teeth sweat. And that is the single reason or method how your body keeps decay out. What happens when you cover up the ability for it to sweat?
So you just like clog the
You've
pore.
just, like he said, you've interfered in the whole God-given process, this beautiful thing, hypothalamus to the parotid, like, oh my God, it's not even, and what they showed was when they were feeding the rats, the poor rats, when they were feeding them good food, they injected sucrose into their gut and their teeth rotted. It had nothing to do with sugar on their teeth.
It's coming internally.
It's totally and they showed that the hormone stops when you inject sugar into their gut and then the bugs go in.
So you're saying sugar exposure has nothing to do with decay?
No, you're getting it
Like
internally.
oral sugar
Not
exposure?
not on your teeth. It has to do because you're eating it. It shuts down the hormone release.
So what would you say about the acid release in the mouth and the drop in the pH every time you have something sweet in the mouth? Like that
Your
really
body
is
flo-
garbage too then?
Yeah, you can get, if you were yeah, it's garbage. You're gonna be amazed. You're gonna be amazed. Yeah,
No,
get
I'm
ready,
all
get
open.
ready, get ready.
Yes, I'm all open.
Because, sure, if you are like sipping Coke all day,
Yeah.
number one, high fructose corn syrup shuts down the mechanism. But then, at that point, now the acidity of the Coke could have some decalcification action. But that's not what's happening. It's not these acidic bugs, you know, waiting to poop on your teeth and make them holes in it. That's not it.
So oral sugar intake has nothing to do with getting
But
tight.
if you took sugar and swished it in your mouth and spit it out and was able not to absorb any of it, I would say it would have very little effect. Very little effect.
But when you absorb it through the bloodstream is when it kicks in and it causes
When it
pain, is
kicks
what you're
in,
saying.
stops the hormone release from the hypothalamus to the parotid, from the parotid to the pulp. Doesn't even begin to protect the tooth. And what they showed was when they cleaned the mouth as best they could of the rats, and when they did this, they also used it with stress. They would put the rats in a cage where they couldn't move, and their teeth would rot. And it's because the hormone system would shut down. But when they tried to clean the teeth, it didn't matter how much they cleaned the teeth still rotted because you can't sterilize, and the bugs are always there, waiting. And they're always there. So it doesn't matter if you're drinking a Coke or not; they're always there. They're waiting for you to make a mistake and have dessert after dinner.
So, what, I was
Every
thinking,
night. And every lunch, and at breakfast, have some Fruit Loops. Good luck.
I was thinking, in your scenario, why not wait until they've got a cavity, or an early cavity, instead of using sealants. I've used sealants for 18,
Yes,
19 years.
I think
But go
the
in,
same.
do some enameloplasty, take out the little bit of decay, and use a non-fluoride flowable, and it'll bond to it. Whereas sealant, I think sealants are crap. They chip off.
It's junk. You know, if you want to do it, you should do it. But and when you become biologic and you start to understand mechanisms and do these things, most people will quit doing that. It's more of a business thing. You get this money, you have to give it up. You don't do fluoride treatments anymore. Oh my God, I'm not doing sealants. Oh my God, I'm not doing root canals.
So if you put a handpiece to a tooth like that, where the crystals are not mature yet, it's
No, I'm saying if there's signs of decay, like wait until there's something happening. If there's a cavity in it, you gotta fix it.
Yes.
So I'm saying if it's not a carious tooth, leave it. But now they're young and they've got a cavity, then that's when you would say, okay, I'm gonna clean out the decay and put a flowable resin in.
I wouldn't do it when I see dark stain.
No, not
But I would, you know, if I have a diagonal dent that's showing that there is definite breach of the enamel and into the dentin, I don't care what age they are, it needs to be stopped. I do that. You can try ozone, but if it's
yeah,
too
you have a
deep-
lot of other tools. You have ozone, you have silver, you have iodine.
That's preventative stuff, yeah.
No, you can have
you can
iodine.
arrest decay with those tools.
Iodine you can arrest. I mean, you can use diluted iodine on kids' teeth and arrest decay. So you, if,
It just goes back to we're mutilating the tooth structure again. We're doing what we learned in dental school. It's the amputate stuff. You know?
But I'm just saying if there's
So
fresh
arrest,
decay.
right?
you'll find other mechanisms.
I
Like
know,
you
but if
said.
there's a hole in the tooth, you're not gonna leave a hole in the tooth where the.
Why not? Why not? What
Because
rule
food gets
laws?
in there and say, why not put something, you can make an anatomically nice filling with a flowable resin with, if you take a,
You're talking like a dentist.
well, I don't know, I don't think I would walk around with a hole in my tooth, because I don't want food sticking in there and having a hard time cleaning it out. And
Well, there could be different reasons. It could be, you know, totally functionally or uncomfortable or.
It doesn't
But-
have to be a
but-
big hole.
With small decay, change of diet. In a person, you know, you read in Western Price, You can, if you have a person who goes from eating the the really bad food
Yeah.
to totally good food, those are the people that can actually arrest their decay. Then yes, when you go in there and you mechanically disrupt your body's now healed it, arrested decay, it turns black. You can use iodine for this also. That you do, there is an argument for leaving it just hard and black. Myself, no. I, like you, if I have an obvious, on the
A defect.
diagonal dent,
Yeah.
it's caused by maybe the enamel did not fuse, and the person is, doing too much sugar or stressed out, and I see that now it's gone deep. I generally, in most situations, I'm not telling them, oh, you better start putting iodine on this every day. I'll go in there and patch that, but it's not, it's viable for what he's telling
So
me.
what if a mom came in, so say you have a 9-year-old coming in, and you have, it's not deep, but it's clearly decay. And the mom says, okay, I've done my research, glass ionomer is aluminum fluorosilicates, I don't want any of that. All your resins have it's all plastic.
Well, I think that's what I said, use the non-fluoride,
It's plastic-based chemistry. It has
Yeah.
bis-GMA, bis-GMDs, or bis-GMAs. It's all precursors to BPAs. So it's all plastic-based chemistry. So you're going to say that's not going to leach? It's not going to be estrogen and mimicking? It is. It's still, just because it's a precursor doesn't mean that it goes. And you're not going to tell me just because you like here, it's not going to leach. So the mom's done all this research, and she knows all this. She says, I don't like any of your restorative materials. Now what's your choice? What's your option? You can't say, well, there's a dental rule that says that we have to fill this hole. You can't say that because there isn't. So what do you do?
Well, obviously we do nothing. Sounds
No,
like.
no,
What are the
look at,
tools- what
this
are
is
the
the
tools that
beauty.
you give her?
No, I'm saying, if she's gonna put iodine, that's not gonna be me doing it. It's gonna be them, so I'm doing nothing, is what I'm saying, right?
Right.
You can tell them.
If she's got that much information, that they know that's,
It's
probably
probably,
do it
if they have that
themselves.
much information, they're telling you what to do, then you better be pretty educated,
Yeah.
right, to respond to that. And, he can have this, I don't agree with everything that he says, and you have to do your own research and
Yeah.
decide whether you agree or not. Because I do believe that we have good composite, that does not cause any kind of increase in BPA, and it is viable. But it's all a compromise. And certainly, if you could have a perfectly compliant patient, and they can arrest, and this is what they want, let them do it. Hey, it doesn't like run rampant. You come back in 3 months and see what it looks like.
Yeah.
Come back in another 3 months and see what it looks like. You can always drill it.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, that's saying they're gonna do it, so then
you do have patients that want to be conservative. It's great to know that this is an option, and that you have options, and say, hey, I come back and we'll look at it and see, you do all this stuff right, and we'll see what it looks like. My, my experience is, they don't change.
No, and people don't, exactly, I mean, we live in this world, and they're not gonna be
Yeah.
eating perfect. and
Well,
they're not gonna
yeah,
be-
give them a chance.
I totally agree.
They're learning just like you just
I
did.
totally agree with you, but sometimes some people can change, and if
Yeah.
you have the knowledge and educate them enough to allow them to change or to motivate them to change, why not? So
Yeah.
maybe that 1 in 10 people changes and
Right.
and is actually compliant.
No, I try to give
So-
everybody a chance, and this is, if they want to do it, then fine. If you want to, you might want to write it on your.
And I'm not
Informed
saying that I'm
consent or
doing that with
something.
every patient.
No.
I'm doing that with maybe 1 in 10 patients.
That's it, yeah, it's not a common
But
situation.
I'm giving you that option to say, okay, well, ozone and silver can arrest decay, and we can leave it there.
Yes.
Do you have information about iodine used to erase decay? Information about that?
You can.
For a few days, or you don't put it on forever and every night. You tell them to go, or you give them a little, this is what they did in an office I worked in, a holistic dentist. Can't practice anymore because he's sick, Mercury, even though he was a holistic dentist. Tell him to go get a little of the white iodine, so doesn't show. You send them with a little bag of the little micro brushes and tell them, put it on once a day for a few days. You don't have to do it forever. And it kills it. And you tell them that, donuts are the dessert of breakfast, not the breakfast. And you try to change the eating habit a little. It's causing this sugary.
Yeah, so
All little
the information, there are people who have lectured about it, is where I learned about it. If you want to see some kind of study about it, I haven't put my eyes on it, but I would search our huge IAOMT library, and you're going to find things there. When you send me communication, I can send you some people who are iodine experts that you can get their book. You can watch their lectures and things like that, so that you have more information on how to utilize iodine properly. Yeah.
So I know I don't know much about ozone, but I've heard so much in the last 3 days. So if someone has symptoms of irreversible pulpitis, which meaning they complain of throbbing pain, sharp pain, even thermal sensitivity.
Extraction.
So my question was, would ozone be of any help in that
Extraction.
precarious lesion? No. Okay.
Yeah, it is. When you extract it, you're using ozone in the socket. You're
Okay.
injecting it in the vestibule, and I'm seeing them maybe another time, and doing some ozone injections. But once you get to the throbbing pain, it doesn't work. But when you have, the one where the decay looks like on the radiograph.
You have a vital pulp exposure? Yeah, ozone will work.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
when you get to that point where you're talking about,
Right.
probably not.
Okay.
No, you can always try it, but
Yeah.
but
When you say pulp exposure, is that a cavus exposure or mechanical you're talking about?
Either one.
Either one will work.
Either one,
Okay.
because you're using it as a disinfectant. Think of it that way.
I
Okay.
would
So
do,
you kill-
or if you have a laser.
Right.
yeah,
Laser.
Same thing.
right,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right.
So then if you put the two together,
Yeah.
now you're
Now you're
golden.
rocking.
Yeah.
But when you have a radiographic exposure, no pain on the two, I have my ozone handpiece ready. I purposely, with my 8 power loops, I know when I'm getting to the clear layer, I'm done. I use the ozone and I ozonate the heck out of that surface and then bond it with my eventual.
And that's where
EPA
stuff like you were talking
composite.
about earlier with the calcium.
Let's
Yeah.
ask- let's
So you
ask
can put
you
calcium
what
and phosphorus
composite
liquid on.
plant is that? Sorry, I'm sorry.
No, sorry, go ahead.
We're having two conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, what were you saying?
The composite, what composite would you say
Vocal
is?
fusion.
Vocal, that's the one I heard
No,
of. Okay.
vocal fusion.
Or
Do not.
the diamond.
Do not use that Diamond Crown DRM.
Why?
It is junk.
Why do you say that?
I had to replace every single one that I put in. I've been doing,
What adhesive?
they're
They're adhesive?
it's junk.
Okay.
I guarantee you, I've used at least a dozen different composites. That's the only one that's ever failed on me.
Wow, okay.
Quick question, I could go, but talking about that, so I'm almost all ceramic or zirconia ceramic crown. What cements or
Cement, yes.
resin?
For cementing,
Yeah,
Vocal has a cement that it uses, I don't remember what it's called, that uses that same chemistry. You can go into the Vocal products and feel safe. They are making their products with Biologic Dentistry in mind. Myself, I use Panavia. Panavia is, for 20 years, nothing falls out ever.
I don't have that issue either, I just wondered if there was, because I'm using multi-link right now, but.
I would, there's, but
Vocal has this one.
Vocal has it. I think Panavia is the best out there, and I think that worrying about a cement line
Yeah, it's very small.
is you come in, you better not be breathing,
Okay,
And so-
thank you.
Yes, yes,
Good luck.
You bet.
And so the last thing that you didn't get to see, I'll tell you, give you a hint of what's coming. You need to be ready for mercury, fluoride, and discuss root canal and cavitation.
I don't know much about cavitations yet, so
Be ready. It's your, It's your obligation as a biologic dentist to tell that patient yes or no. So you either need to refer to a person who will screen them for cavitation,
Yeah.
because they are going to expect you, and they've already read it on the internet. Do I have a
So how do you
cavitation?
find it on CBCT? Like, how do you find the area?
Yes.
On
So
CBCT?
basically an area where something's coming out and there's still bacteria there and the bump's healed over it. So now you have just a hole with bacteria in it.
Well, I usually end up pain patients, I'll screen for retaining referrals from muscles somewhere first. And then if that doesn't show up anything now, that would be the obvious.
One thing we notice, we do a lot of cavitation surgeries in my practice. When you do cavitation surgery, TMJ clicks and pain go away. It's not the occlusion. It's infected wisdom tooth extraction sites almost all the time.
What if they've never had it?
If they never had it,
Yeah, some of them don't have it.
never had them at all,
But they've got some messed up occlusion.
you need to, in a premolar extraction site, this is the biggest problem, because very often you have a cavitation in between in those roots right there. And you can look at it with a thermograph, you can look at it with a cone beam, and you can see that it's there.
Right now, I'm regrowing bone in that space. So I'm wondering if this would be, the bone will be changing.
You better cancel your flight. Thank you for coming. Hey, this is what I do for people in fluoridated area. You can either get a reverse osmosis, APEC filter. There are probably many more, but install it, it's under 300, or a big Berkey. A Berkey is a countertop. You need to RO your water to get the fluoride out. Root canals and cavitations, this is the other thing that we need to be ready to talk to our patients about, because now your biologic patient expects you to address it. And it's up to you. If you think, oh, root canal is okay, it's up to you. But they will be expecting you to talk about it, and if you're going to decide that you're going to keep doing them, are you going to do them biologically, or are you going to just keep doing them the same way? Do you think it's okay to have a dead tooth in your mouth? These kinds of questions are things that you need to learn.
I think it's really important question to really ponder for yourselves and come up with an answer, because you need to give that patient options, and you need to give them options that you feel comfortable giving them. And I think that's where the important part lies.
Inform them that it's not a good thing to have a root canal tooth in your mouth. But then, if they require treatment, then at least you could have them sign a consent form.
Right, it's their call. It's their body.
Yeah.
So it's
So
their
they can
choice.
still do it.
If I used a consent form, this would be one place where if they said they wanted a root canal, I say, great, if you want a root canal, I'm going to make you sign a consent form that I informed you that the tooth is dead,
Yeah.
that my personal opinion is that it could cause systemic problems, but you understand and want to do it anyway, sign it. Because I don't care, I need the money.
Or if you refer, because somebody, I forgot who it was that was talking about referring root canals to an endodontist, because that would be the safest anyway. You can't convince an endodontist to use biocompatible materials. So
Yeah, you
you're
can.
kind of,
It can.
Well, there's probably one, I'm sure Eric knows.
Yeah. How many endos are in your town?
oh, there's a lot,
Yeah, so just go to each one of them.
just find
Start
one.
asking questions. Yeah.
Okay,
I don't care if they believe in it or not. Would you use them?
yeah,
We use those. Yeah.
so it's ozone, I thought it was.
Well, whatever.
Like
Whatever,
Biocalates and ozone.
whatever you want them to use, ask them. Just say, I want you to use this, and I'll refer all my patients to you.
So yeah, the whole
They don't-
thing is
they don't
about
have to use it with other patients, just with yours.
the whole thing is about keeping a dead tooth in your jawbone. It's more than just the. My friend said, what's worse, if you just leave a dead tooth, or if you do this with gutta percha, which one is worse? My friend said certainly putting the foreign material in there is worse than just leaving. It's still dead, but this is dead and it has
I
some.
remember there's barium in that, gotta purge it too, so it's not just rubber.
And so in my practice, which I never before, that's infected. This is not, this bone scar, that's nonsense. Bone scar or what do you,
So-
that's infected. You put that on a cone beam, you're gonna see there's a hole in the bone right there.
So traditionally, with that root canal therapy, all they've done is taken the infected nerve out. They haven't addressed the bacteria in the tubules. They haven't addressed the surrounding bone, the periapical space with the bacteria. So we learned in dental school, oh, the body's going to take care of that. Well, no, it doesn't. There's no way that the body can kill bacteria that's in the tubules. I mean, look at all that tubular anatomy there. There's a lot of tubules there for the bacteria to hide in.
Yeah, no, it's the reaction. It's the reaction to dead tissue. I don't even need to go there about if you had a frostbite finger and it turned black.
You put us on that.
Would you?
You put us on
I saw cases of frostbite in the feet that they ozonated like heavily over and over and over, and it actually came back.
Yeah, some of it.
So if you
Well-
already have a root canal treated tooth and the person does not want an extraction, can you just treat it with ozone continue? Like,
Sure.
is that something that
I
you
think,
Yeah.
I think every root canal tooth and every implant should be injected with ozone every year at least. Yeah, definitely.
That's his opinion. Not mine.
You can
Okay.
just get rid of it?
I used to. We were taught. I was one of the first people to get ozone certified with Malika, and we were taught that you can heal that infected by repeatedly injecting ozone gas, okay? I did it, they did it, I will tell you now, Malika will say you can do it, but they're not saying that you can heal it anymore. So what are you really doing? I mean, you could take, if you have a person who's got a symptomatic old root canal, you can get rid of the symptoms by injecting it, you knock it back, but the symptoms always come back.
Well, I'm talking
That's
about
my experience.
asymptomatic, like somebody, well, I'll just tell you, it's me, who has an, endo-treated tooth in my mouth that I'm concerned about. And I don't know that I'm ready for an extraction and an and all of that.
So that's a perfect example. I mean, I agree with what Mark's saying, but it's your option. It's your,
Yeah.
you as the patient, it's your option. to
I mean,
keep
I'm
it or not.
completely asymptomatic, I just don't want it to become toxic.
It
Do
is,
you have
it is
any-
toxic
I mean,
already.
so
It
it's,
is.
so it's just a decision of, do I try to take my chance and compromise and manage it with ozone, or just cut things out?
Do you
That's
have
your fault.
any? Do you have any history of breast cancer in your family?
No,
Okay, good.
no cancer.
No cancer. That's good.
Which tooth is it?
18.
Look at the meridian chart. 18 is not hard, but it could be intestinal. But so if you have
Systemic?
systemic problems, the dead tooth blocks the meridian. And oftentimes you can say, okay, I've got this recurring problem, and then you look at the root canal, it's like, oh my God, it's on that meridian.
And then if you elect to keep it, that just means you have to work that much harder to address what that systemic issue is.
So yeah, when I see this kind of, a Panorex is not for diagnosing teeth problems, but it is for looking at jawbone. So I look at this as like a quick overview of what I want to look at. Immediately, I'm going to talk to the patient. There's a cavitation there. There's a root tip, and if you look, you can always see the bone around it. It's probably huge. That thing's infected. There's probably, I don't know how many different kinds of metal in the mouth. The sinus, now look at the sinus. That's infected. The sinus is all cloudy, and when you take a cone beam on that, you're going to find out that there's like a bump over the top. That's infected. And so all edentulous areas are going to be looked at on a cone beam. We always start with a thermogram is our suggestion. We're actually met at this meeting, and we're putting together a couple of things in a new position paper for the Academy on cavitations and root canals, and we're talking about doing a clinical.
EAB.
I figured make sure they had
Put EAB into that picture too.
Yeah, but no, we do clinical studies we're going to create so that we can start now getting science behind our cavitation and the systemic effects of removing them. So as the academy, we're looking at it. We're in the cavitation group. I have the 30 people that we talk online around the world. It's all surgeons, most of them. And we're all in agreement, no foreign material unless it's retrievable. You're using PRF. If ozone is highly recommended, but some people, Phil Malika recommends ozone only. I had a discussion with him. He's okay with also, you should think about pre-treating the surgery with ozone and then post-treating this area with ozone. But we're developing the protocol, so you're going to maybe want to work with a surgeon if you're not going to want to do it. My patients get a thermogram, and on the cavitation group, they all agree that it's great. Before you do anything to your patient, tell them to find get a thermogram. And they do that on their own, get a head and neck, and you might as well get the breast while you're at it because sometimes you can see a connection.
So explain what thermogram is.
It's a very accurate heat picture of your tissue. And it does not show you what tooth is a problem, but it can show you an area here or there okay, and then the thermographer will take the picture. In big cities, they have places where you can go. In my area, they travel around and they'll be at a chiropractor's one day and you can meet them and they shoot the picture for you. Then it goes to a thermographic physician who reads it for you. And I always tell them, I'm not trained in thermography, but it's not hard to see. You have a problem on the left side. You have a root canal, you want to live with it, maybe get a picture. You might decide different. This is the metabolism of what's going on in your jawbone. It's not x-ray, that's anatomy. So thermogram, you start with it. 2 years after you end all of the cleanup of the mouth, you take a thermogram and see if you did good job.
Usually on a thermogram, you'll see like a red hot spot, and then you'll see it travel down. Like people with perio or like the teeth that are associated with breast, that you'll see that red line, kind of like a red river down to their breast. It's usually what they look like.
You can see that. I've got a picture of that, but it's not a common thing for me to see. But you can see that. I mean, depending on how bad it is, you know. And so, and a lot of times, you know, in my exam, when I'm looking for the lymph nodes, and they're perfectly healthy people, until you start talking to them, and then you realize they're sick, and then they start crying and think, "Oh my God, I'm sick." So, but you can find a node, and then you can find another node, and then you look on that and you go, oh, that's on the same place where I see the cavitation and root canal. It's interesting. Oh, I never knew that was there, doctor.
You guys should all be doing on checks, on periodic checks on new patients, always do the lymph nodes too.
Oh, yeah.
And just like Mark said.
So with this, do you do a thermogram and a CBCT for everybody?
Thermogram is my starting point, I suggest.
It's not definitive.
They're not costly, they're like $150. Depending in Florida, they're $100 for a head and neck thermogram.
I know there's somebody in town that does them.
Yeah, you'll be surprised if you look for it. You'll have choices.
Yeah.
So you do that first, just to get a baseline. The cavitation is diagnosed using a cone beam, and what we use is cone beam with the density dot, so that when you have Heinzfeld units that are too low, we know there's a hole there. We have a Cavitex or tile machine that's coming out of Germany any time now, which is going to be an ultrasonic handpiece that you can use, and you can supposedly is going to be more accurate. But we're waiting for that from Lechner. The protocol is at least 1 to 2 months of checking for reactive. Doing blood check to get your vitamin D between 70 and 100, to check your C-reactive protein, make sure your LDLs are in line, get your patient as healthy as possible before you open the bone. Right? Before you do any surgery, and then for a month to 2 months after, same thing. High K2-D3. You want to give them high K2-D3. You want their levels of D3 to be 70 to 100. When they tell you, oh, my doctor just checked and they said it was okay, well, you need the number because it's okay to a doctor to be 30. Even 20 might, oh, you're on the low end, but you're okay. No, you want 70 to 100. Your patient is going to have bone surgery. All metal is removed from the mouth before you open the bone. All of it. There's, and even the teeth that are going to be extracted, you should take the metal off of them at least the day before the surgery. Get the metal out of the mouth so there is no toxic material going into your open wound. So I discuss it. Not everybody will agree with it, but most are fine. They understand. Especially if you have any kind of metal reactivity, certainly all mercury removal is done before you open the bone. Now, sometimes you have a patient. Everything is exceptions. Some people are not. They think mercury is great. They put it on their cereal in the morning. So, and that's fine. Hey, I need the money. Go ahead. You want to do it? We'll do it. We'll do it like that. But my recommendation: all metal should come out of the mouth before we open that up.
I think the more and more that you guys adopt or kind of let this sink into your psyche and sort of adopt it as principle, the less patients that you'll get like that who use mercury on their cereal. So.
Yeah, no, it is. As when you become biologic, your patient population is going to be you have such more fun in dentistry. It's a great thing.
When you're taking root canal teeth out or talking to patients about it, are you, how do you go about not saying that it's going to cure anything? Are you worried about proving that it's infected or anything like that?
No. The thermogram. Okay, I don't talk anybody into it. I tell them, and what I see now, I have on my wall these really cool posters from Germany of that shows the meridians and what they affect, and it's huge. And so now, like almost all my patients are checking it out, and which tooth is my root canal, and oh my God, that's connected to my thyroid, and I got thyroid medication. They can see it for themselves right there on the wall. If in my knowledgeable patients, it's easy. And the people that don't know, like I said, I leave it to my hygienist. Hey. Well, I think it's root canal, but I didn't say that. See you later. And if they want to check it out, it's cone beam. So now we look at a cone beam. Every root canal has I would say 99% when you look at a root canal on a cone beam, it's got a lesion. And so now you've got a lesion. Then they want it out. Yeah, they've got an infection.
Yeah. Go to the internet and print out little charts, the meridian charts, and then you can you can pass them out to people if you want. At least that they have it, like Mark said, they can look at it.
Yeah, shoot me an email. You want the cool one from Germany. Yeah, it's cool.
And Dawn did one too. Dawn Huey did one. She has a really nice one. It's laminated.
That's what this is too, yeah. Okay. But yeah, get one. And it's really effective to put them in front of the patient so when they're sitting there and you're in the other room taking your stuff off, they got something to look at. It really was beneficial.
We have a question back here.
Kay was making a good point. So we actually have our even the meridian chart posted in our patient bathroom.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
And oftentimes Kay was saying that she'll tell the patient to take a picture of that, and then they'll have it in their photo album.
You can get them, yeah, it's easy enough. I have it on my website. Dory puts them on your website for you if you want to, so it's there as well. People do talk about, oh, I saw it on your website.
Can you give us Dory's information again?
It's coming.
Talk International.
No, it already came. It's Talk International.
There's also an emotional, like how the meridians affect your emotions. So there's an emotional tooth chart too, if you want.
And online, there's one, if you Google, I think it's Ralph Wilson, chiropractor, he's got the one that Dietrich Klinghardt and Louisa Williams are noted at the bottom.
Aha.
She did the emotional attributes too.
Aha. I can tell you from my experience, and we've been doing quite a few of these cavitations and root canal extractions. I think it's 100%. People tell me
He's
they
cured
feel
bipolar
better.
disease, he's cured schizophrenia.
100% of everyone says they feel better. And even the ones that told me they were fine before we did it. I mean, it's like, I'm not, look, I ask, because I say for my own information, do you notice anything different? I mean, I remember a nurse, we took out 8 teeth, and the first thing she said, when I saw her like a week later, the fog has lifted. She came to me because she had conventional, and I said, you got a bunch of infected teeth. Brave enough to do it, and she was like the happiest person. Man, thank you for my life.
Yeah.
I think it was like in the Toxic too, there's some book I was reading, I've been trying to read a lot, and it was like a dentist, he had biopsy proof and everything, these were infected, and they still went after him, you know, stuff like that.
Don't worry about it. You've got to document, do all your documentation, informed consent, and do all of that and sleep well. What you should worry about is if you didn't tell the patient about it. That's what you owe it to your patient to be knowledgeable and be able to answer the question.
I'm a bit behind you with the cavitations. That it's quite new to me. It's all cavitation needs to be dealt with.
All cavitation.
Is there some specific information I can get about that?
You can the person. There's a couple of different people you can get classes from, but you can. You need to educate yourself. Maybe Judson Wall in Utah, or Graham Hall is the one who's famous over in your area for it. He was always the cavitation guy, Graham Hall, but he just retired, and he practices a little loose. I think he's been probably out there called out about 8 times, but. I don't think, one thing you're not really going to get called out on is cavitation, because all of the people on the board, they don't know nothing about it, and they don't know what questions to ask. Just do it right. Follow the steps, and when you do it, you're going to do it the way that we are the ones that experimenting. We are the ones trying to figure out how much ozone, do you need ozone? Certainly most all, except for 1 or 2, agree that you need surgery and ozone, and then you reevaluate 1 to 2 years. You reevaluate your area. Well, how are you going to do it? Well, let's get a thermogram, see if there's any more, if it went away, because the problem we've been having, is that when you do all your work, some of them don't go away. And so that's where this comes from right here. Get all the poison out before you open it up, because we do have this problem of them not going away.
So when you're discussing that with people, I think the label of cavitation and eco-wide sometimes brings up emotions for people, and they tend to kind of disagree. And I think just calling it an encapsulated infection sort of takes that labeling stuff out of the conversation. But you're talking about the legal aspect of it. I think that's where, if we just call it an encapsulated infection, it's a little bit easier to discuss.
I call it osteonecrotic lesion of the jaw.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what it is.
Cavitation is a warning, but what we're planning to do in the cavitation committee and our paper is to bring the cavitation term, because it's so widely known, as an acceptable term.
Yeah, that's a good
Because
idea.
it's just an easier way to say an osteonecrotic lesion of the bone. If you want them to think you're smart, you say osteonecrotic lesion of the bone.
Yeah,
It's like
or make little note.
Yeah. So this is the other book I want you to read and study, please. You should. That's the one that you really need to know when you become a biologic dentist. All right. Do not be afraid of the truth, because we're not selling a product here. we are here to tell you the truth, the science. The Academy is about science, and everything we preach to you is as scientific as possibly back. There's a lot more things that I'd like to say. You know, this is the difference between holistic and biologic. If you're holistic, you're doing things that we don't have the science for, muscle testing. I don't say it's bad. If you want to do it, do it. That's holistic. If you're biologic, you're science-based. The IAOMT is a science-based academy, so we are open for everything, but we want to see, show me the study, you know? That's really what that's all about. And I thank you all for coming.